Eamon O'Carroll, Bradford's passage through into the 1895 Cup quarter-final was secured after that win against Keighley. Obviously, after the game you mentioned you were more pleased about the result and progression to face Swinton. Now you've had time to actually analyse and reflect on that performance. What were the sort of positives to take from that, and what areas need improvement?
Oh well, the week before I probably questioned our intent at the start of the game. I thought we got that bang on. To be fair to you, I thought the lads really took that on. I thought we got the start there, just in terms of the simple things: how hard we carried the ball, how well we supported some of our defence. And that puts us in a good position to go on and pose a few points. We knew it was going to be a really tough game. You could see that actually being in the building. It was quite intense, and Keighley were very up for it. So that derby type game, we knew it was going to be an intense game, and not one that we'd ever run away with. So I thought the lads did really well and responded in that respect.
When you look back to obviously what happened last year, you mentioned obviously working hard here at Tong and Odsal during the week. Do you think that you learnt the lessons of obviously what happened last year?
I believe so. You probably have to ask some of the lads who were involved last year. My priority was just making sure that we went and won that game. We did reference last year's performance because some of the coaching staff and the players mentioned to me they feel like we got some things wrong in terms of our approach to that game. So I certainly believe we got that part right. But if we played them again this week, it'd be exactly the same. That was our most intense game that we'd played in. It was a hostile environment, but a game that we enjoyed, and I think we need more games like that.
We've already kind of referenced a little bit about the 4 minutes before half-time and 4 minutes after half-time. Bradford really finding the rhythm in that passage of play. Has your message this week been, to try and replicate that for longer?
Yeah, it has. I think it was a good lesson for us because that's probably how the game should be. You shouldn't just have, a full 40 minutes that goes your own way. One of the pleasing things was I felt like we were willing to earn the right to have those passages of play for 4 minutes, and then obviously at half-time we regrouped and we started really well. So that is a pleasing thing for me. The thing I'll probably look at and speak to with the players is probably when momentum swings a little bit, handling those passages of play and those times a little bit better and being able to wrestle that back.
In terms of the discipline, it was another high penalty count against the side, another high set restart count against the side. Is that an area now that you're going to work hard on improving?
We do every day. It's a continual battle. And I'll be the first one to hold my hands up. Some of the late hits, I'm asking the players to defend and put pressure on the opposition. What we've got to do is just find our balance. We're 3-4 competitive games in now to the competition, and every time it's a lesson. So we've learnt a harsh one there, but I certainly don't want the players to take the foot off the gas in that respect. They're a really intelligent group. They know where the line is. We probably just overstepped it a couple of times, and that really hurt us. So yeah, that's a big one that we'll learn from. But we were always looking to drive that. In terms of the set restarts, I thought some of them were quite difficult. I think we brought in new rules into the games to take away the flops and holding people down. But we've probably gone to the extreme where you only need to place a hand on him now when you're giving 6 against or penalties away. So that is where the game is at, and we have to look at ourselves before we look at anything else. But again, they're just lessons that need to be learned, and you don't get that all the time in training. It's difficult to replicate that. So we're getting it in games now. We want to learn quickly because we'll have to.
It was a fourth clean game, I do believe, where Bradford haven't come away with any play the ball infringements. So after the first couple of pre-season games where that was an issue, they have shown that they do listen and they do learn and they do rectify those frailties.
Yeah, they do. I don't think we had an issue with it. We got some pulled up, but I think they were looking at it heavily, weren't they, the officials? And when you bring in a new rule like that, all of a sudden they do get penalised a lot. So I believe that was the case for some of the oppositions that we played as well when they've kind of done it. They're real fine margins. I don't think any of them were a case of not making an attempt. They probably just didn't quite get it right. So yeah, it's pleasing. We don't want to be giving the ball away cheaply, but we're not. That's a rule that's been in place for a long time. We just expect the players to execute that now, and we don't want that being an issue, giving the ball away cheaply like that.
Just on the bans to Mitch Suter and Aribi Doro, are the club going to accept those, Eamon, or will there be an appeal, a challenge? And if there isn't, and the club accept them, how does that impact Bradford? Obviously, they can play this weekend, but obviously the quarter-final against Swinton next week, obviously both are going to be missing.
Yeah, we'll have to accept it, and that's the nature of the beast. So what that does is gives other people an opportunity, doesn't it? Which is exciting. We're disappointed to lose them both. They're both quality players, and I think they've proven that on a number of occasions this year how well they're going. Both are really disappointed, but we'll not have too much of a headache over it. You know, we have to look at what's ahead and get on with the task in hand.
You've mentioned about staying on sort of like the right side of the line, you know, showing that enthusiasm in defence, showing that natural aggression. Obviously, yourself as a player, you were in the forward packs. How easy or how hard is it, you know, when you're playing in these big derby games? Is it to kind of channel that aggression and not go over the top?
Yeah, you know, that's the key. I think it wasn't that long ago I was playing, but I think the game is completely different now, to be honest with you. So I don't think we've got an issue in terms of our discipline and losing control. I just think that the game is very different now, and you know, a heavy contact, which is something that all coaches are, you know, they want you to defend well, and then but there is a real fine line, and it's very easy to overstep that mark. So we know where the line is. We just have to be better with that. It was a derby. There's an emotion. I spoke about emotion during the week. A couple of them were probably like borderline. You know, I don't believe there were out and out penalties, but the nature of the beast now and the nature of our game is that you just can't do that. So we have to be better.
Speaking to the players, Eamon, I'm picking up that there's a no excuse mentality amongst the playing group. Is that something that you and the coaching staff have kind of like pressed on them, or is that something natural that's come from the players and that leadership group within that?
Something they asked me for when I came in. One of the first things I did was said to them, and I asked them a lot of in terms of what's expected, what do we feel is fair, the minimum standards, but then asked them what they expect of me. And one thing that they spoke about was just honesty and being accountable, which is something that I am anyway, and I'll always hold the group accountable, and I'm the first to hold my old hand up as well. So like I said before, they're a great group with some good experience, and they know that they're not naive. They'll put their hands up. You know, we look at things that we've done well, most importantly, but then we have a look at things where we need to be better, and the group have been great with that. I don't have any headaches with them in terms of that. They're pretty quick to hold their hand up and, more importantly, challenge me if they feel like it's wrong. So, which I really like. I think that's really good. I feel like every time we walk out of this meeting room, we've got something out of it, whether that's me learning a lesson or hopefully them learning a lesson. So, you know, I can't be any happier with them in terms of that. They're a good group, honest, and that to me just shows that they care. You know, if there's a couple of difficult conversations, I welcome that because we all learn from it. Moving
on to this weekend's game, it's Challenge Cup action. Widnes at Odsal. Obviously, you've already mentioned Lee Gaskell had to withdraw from the Keighley game through illness. What's the latest with him?
Yeah, we'll assess him again tonight, just see how he is. We've had some illness now for the last couple of weeks, probably touching a month, so hopefully we're coming through to the back end of that, so we'll just see how Gaskell's getting on. Is it a case with Lee Gaskell, if he's A-OK, he's straight back in, or would he have to have done some training, you know, outside of the illness? Yeah, he'll have to get some training done. Gaskell's desperate to play, as you can imagine, but what we don't want to do, we learned that lesson with Dan Smith. Dan Smith was ill, we trained him because he said he was alright because he's desperate to play, and then he ends up missing a couple, and it really disrupts you. So we'll make the decision on Gaskell when we see him tonight. You mentioned about Ben Blackmore, 10 to 12 weeks. Have you actually found out what is up with Ben at this moment in time? You're testing me. I know he's done a ligament, so I don't know the medical terms of that. I just know he's done a ligament and he's going to be out for a period. I think it's syndesmosis. Yeah, and in terms of Ebensker, is he still a couple of weeks off? He's looking positive. We're hopefully he could feature soon, but I don't want to put the mockers on it. I'm leaving that up to physio staff. We've got some new physio staff now, so they're coming into it a bit raw, so to speak. So they're taking over and just trying to work with Evan, but he's progressing really well. So hopefully he'll feature soon. Outside of obviously the three we've just mentioned, everybody A-OK, clean bill of health. Yeah, I think everyone's good. Touch wood. Obviously, Widnes
coming to Oddsall. It's a home game. That's a slight advantage in a do or die cup game. How do you sort of assess Widnes' performance from their opening 3 competitive games?
Very competitive. You know, I think the game against Doncaster, they were completely dominant. Played some real nice rugby. Tested them throughout the game. You know, and then I looked at the Swinton game, and although they lost that, I thought, you know, there's an element there where they were unlucky. No disrespect to Swinton whatsoever, but I think a couple of tries that they scored were off a bounce pass and a kick, where it was kind of a 50-50. That was a real intense game. Quite an emotional game there as well, so they got fired into each other, so I'm expecting a real physical test, but we can't wait.
And when you look at Widnes, Lloyd Roby, Joe Lyons, Tom Gilmore, there is a lot of strike there in that side, in those pivot positions.
Yeah, absolutely. I know them all really well, played with them, coached a couple of them, so great players. For me, all 3 of them have got the ability to play Super League, so we know the threat that they'll pose. But again, as I say, most weeks we're concentrating on our job, and if we get that right, we'll stop them.
The fact that it is the 5th round and victory against Widnes would put Bradford in that draw where the Super League sides enter in the 6th round. Is that part of the message to the players this week, that you have a chance to potentially face a Leeds Rhinos, a Catalan Dragons, a Warrington Wolves?
No, I think the message is we want to keep playing and we want to keep performing. And to do that, you know, Widnes are the next team that we get to play. We certainly don't want to be in the next couple of weeks not playing. We want to get some rhythm, and I've referenced it a few times. We're a fairly new group, obviously with a new coach and some new players, so we're enjoying this period now of playing. We're getting a lot out of it, so we want to continue to play. For me, that's more important, and then that's the icing on the cake, getting the opportunity to play against quality opposition like what you just mentioned.
And just finally, no new players incoming this week, and we touched upon it a little bit last week. Irons in the fire, but nothing coming out.
No, I've got no more to say on that, mate. We're trying, but it's about the right person. And obviously, I mentioned last week difficulty just with the cup competition. You know, once we get past that stage, we'll be looking to bring people in. But it's an ongoing process. It's a daily one. We just have to identify the right one, and then hopefully when he comes available, we'll bring him in.